Yo, what it do, guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie here, back with you with a new fanfic for you guys, and this is a special birthday fanfic, one I have been working on for a while now, and I've gone through so many rewrites for this, it's not even funny, to be honest. Not to mention, I've been on vacation, taking a break, and also been mainly working on that on my main channel to get my revenue back up, so this story may seem a little rushed. If so, I am so sorry. Not to mention, besides other stories I've been working on, but I'm currently on that of the Rough Drafts 4, this one is another, birthday what if I was going to do for my main channel, but deciding to do it as a fanfic, mainly because it would go against so many of my rules that I do with that of my what ifs. Not to change canon too drastically, and not to make Izuku too damn overpowered without having to work for it. So probably in the next couple of days, you'll see another special what if as well. So keep your eyes out for that too, guys. So enough said, this is the Goddesses and the Deku. Yep, you heard me right, guys. This is a story. If you guys have seen that of my, Deku-verse of Madness story, especially the info on that of the Dekus that will be showing up for that story, this was literally one of them that was going to be showing up. Basically, a militaristic version of Izuku Midoriya. And if any of you guys who have either played that of Nikke, Goddesses of Victory, sure, the game does scream nothing but fan service, but surprisingly, it's actually a pretty decent game, to be fair, especially when it comes to story. And honestly, the Nikkes are more than just, are literally nothing but just sexy fan service. They're actually more developed than give them credit for. And given that the latest special event was an Evangelion event, showing that this game's popularity is still growing and still going on strong, alongside that of other series too, I'm really looking forward to doing this one. So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? Chapter 0, Prologue, The Deku Turn Commander. As the years have now gone by, 200 years ago, an emergence of a unique and strange ability is shown to the world. And it all started with that of two individuals, two twins, born from a prostitute. While one of the twins was small and feeble, the reason being, the other twin was stealing all of his nutrients for himself. While the mother died at childbirth, the twins survived, and one of them became the greatest evil known to man, while the other would be the symbol that would pass on hope to generations going forward. However, the world wouldn't know about these twins, after all, and known about these unique abilities. How the world would find out about these abilities was due to one baby in that of China that basically was glowing like a light bulb, freaking out its parents and also the doctors inside. Since then, the world went through a huge change and shift in society. More and more children began to develop that of these unique abilities called quirks. However, they went through that of multiple names. They first went through that of the name of the paranormal children. Then they went to that of meta abilities, while finally staying at the word quirks. And as society began to finally stabilize itself, throughout those 200 years, human advancement into that of science and technology stumbled. However, that's what people think it stumbled though. Through these years, through those 200 years of chaos and that of, disorder, one form of technology continued to thrive, and that was in the development of robotics and cybernetics. Most of projects and that of, government funding all across the world went to that of developing quirks, while the small majority went into that of the medical field of, developing ways to keep humanity alive after all, through that of robotics and cybernetic augmentation to that of the human body. At first, it was easier said than done given all the craziness that was happening, especially about one certain man that was controlling the world from the shadows and was growing an army, especially with those with quirks after all, wanting the way to defend those without quirks while also defending those with quirks who just want to do good and help others. In secret, many governments and that of world leaders created that of a secondary city beneath that of the earth, a city that soon became a nation of its own, a united front for humanity, otherwise known as the Ark. There, humanity could study both quirks and developing that of technology to advance itself even further without having that of the fear of him and also the world wanting to basically destroy themselves. And as time went on, they were finally able to make a breakthrough. That breakthrough was that of first was androids, a way to keep that of certain people alive. Those with talent, skills, and abilities were basically made into that of the first generation of cyborgs to continue using their talents and skills for the betterment of mankind and humanity. After this success, they began to develop another thing. What if they could transfer a person's quirk into that of their new cybernetic and robotic body? It was easier said than done, given that quirks are genetics. It's hard to copy certain genetics and even that of certain quirks that can change that of certain realities. Emitter type quirks, on the other hand, were easy to copy. However, transformation quirks, a little difficult, but still. Mutant type quirks, simple, but has its own diverse abilities after all. And don't get me started on certain quirks that can change the very laws and physics of reality. However, over certain years and decades and generations, they were able to do so. They were able to transfer and copy quirks onto that of robotic bodies of the certain people. However, there was only one downside. Some humans, or rather, a certain gender had more of an affinity to these cybernetic bodies, alongside that of their quirks as well. Men could basically adapt to these bodies. However, the operations to do so was small, and the possibility of survival and synchronization were basically non-existent, because outside of just giving that of men who lost their limbs and possibly ways to copy their quirks through that of their cybernetics. If they had that of their quirks relied on that of touch through that of their hands or legs was necessary. However, saving a male entirely through that of cybernetics was out of the question, given that they wouldn't survive the transfer. Females, on the other hand, would be able to, given genetic studies that females developed way much more better than that of males after all. So they would have the strength to endure the transformation of their bodies into a cybernetic body. So thus, these would be the first generation of humanoid individuals known as Nikke, transferring that of a female's body, their mind, and quirks into that of a cybernetic body to become the frontline defense for the Ark, and not just the Ark, but humanity as a whole. A new form, and the creation, and not only that, but that of the creation of a new system that would defend humanity and the innocent forever, known as the Pro-Hero system, would save, protect, and basically take the form of new civil servants for that of all governments. However, even with that of the stabilization of the world, and with that of the new Pro-Hero system, many governments and nations still realize that they need a military to keep them all safe, while some governments believe that they have no need for military anymore as long as they have their pro-heroes. This was a debate that many United Nations leaders had problems with. However, it was when the Ark proposed that of a suggestion. For all the nations who still want to keep their military, they would prefer, Why not separate that of military and pro heroes to their own organization? Pro heroes would basically focus on that of civil affairs within their own nation and would only be called on if truly necessary, while that of the military would basically focus on that of foreign affairs of their nation. After all, threats outside of their own country that they would handle. However, those who join the military would be prohibited from using their quirks and would have to go through the same training as they did back in the day. However, they wouldn't be alone. As people rise up in the ranks, those who reach that of the rank of commander, major, colonel, and general would gain that of a new task force of their own, units of their own, otherwise known as the Nikke. As for Nikkes, only that of females can become Nikkes. They had to choose. Females would have to decide and wish for them to become Nikkes, or they have to sign that of a waiver in case that they are really important or they do not wish to die. The ARC and that of the United Nations governments have permission to turn their body and switch their mind and quirk into that of a Nikke. After such operation is done, they are also capable of they are forced to join that of the military, and depending on that of the company that basically made them into that of a Nikke, basically that of the big four, Elysium, Melodis, Tetra, and Pilgrim. They are given specific roles based on that of their quirks, their talents, or their skill sets. After all, they're either put into that of a military platoon, chose for a certain role across that of the world, chosen for that of either in the ARC, in that of other nations, or secretly working with that of villains to gain that of information for that of the heroes in the military to prevent that of terrorist operations. After all, speaking of villains, honestly, in that of the original canon of MHA, villains were basically just considered anyone that uses their quirk without permission and basically hurt innocents or cause any collateral or destructive damage, are just labeled villains after that. However, for this, villains are basically those who just cause damage in that of their own country. However, villains that basically cause damage into that of other people's country outside of their own are known as terrorists, security level threats that the military would have to deal with, not heroes. Some heroes would be called on to take care of them. However, not all, though. That's when the Nikkes come in. Nikkes under that of the command of commanders or higher ranking officials. However, even with that of this system, that's surprisingly balanced, to be honest. Not a lot of countries basically accepted this. Some people believe that heroes alone can basically save that of their own nation. Surprisingly, Japan itself is one of them, and basically dismantled and basically restructured their own military in a way that Japan doesn't have a military, only because of one man alone that changed everything. That being All Might, the number one hero and pro of Japan, the symbol of peace that inspired many heroes all across the world as well, besides just in his home nation. Soon led to that of one of a government organization and branch of the Japanese government known as the Hero Public Safety Commission that take a lot of power. That's from that of the original military branch of Japan. Other nations saw that Japan was basically heading into its own self-destruction, relying so much on that of heroes outside of just the military alone, and also relying on that of one man alone. Even that of All Might's sister nation, that of the US, saw that Japan, if they lose All Might, they would soon basically go into their own self-destruction. Given that, All Might seems to be the only reason why villains don't cause as much trouble in Japan. However, what would happen if terrorists, on the other hand, caused trouble in Japan, though? Villains from other nations would basically see this as a perfect way to basically cause trouble. With Japan not having that of a military of their own, and they rely so much on that of the pro heroes, And pro-hero schools don't deal with that of military tactics. So Japan came to that of a compromise. They would give all military proceeds or any external threats outside of Japan to that of the ARC. At first, when the Hero Public Safety Commission was first established and that of the Japanese Diet accepted this, they weren't too happy that they don't need that of an underground and shady nation being in charge of them. However, many people realize that they rely so much on their heroes for everything, they don't rely on them, and that heroes are restricted from doing anything military related. That they disbanded their entire military forces, they knew that they had to rely on that of another nation. The ARC was the closest thing outside of that of the US that would be willing to help out, but they're not willing to basically put too much of their debt in that of the United States. Japan is already too much in their debt, to be honest, especially being the ones that created the hero system, to be honest. And now Japan's the only one that's overusing that of the hero system, proving even more that they're too much in that of America's debt. If they're in their debt and when it comes to building their own military again, or relying on another nation's military, it just proves it even more that Japan would most likely have to live under the rule and possibly become one with that of the United States through to all of the policies, all of the things that they've done, and even that of All Might, where that of All Might trained and learned and was sheltered for the time being before taking on All for One. The ARC may be mysterious, but it's the only place where they know that they can rely on. So for the time being, until they rebuild their military again, they would no longer need the ARC or any other nation to stand up on their own 2 feet. With that of the number one hero that inspired the world, and with that of Japan rebuilding its military, they would soon become their very own superpower, even as an island nation. Unfortunately for them, that would be easier said than done, and they would take too long to achieve it, as the nation would rely too much on heroes that that there would only be that of small recruits wanting to join that of the Japanese military. Instead, many people would join that of the ARC military, and the ARC military would be connected to to the entirety of the globe itself. Not only that, the payment and basically rank that you would gain from being part of the military of the ARC is more substantial, and you would gain a lot more money that way. The only downside is it's more dangerous to be part of the ARC military than being a pro hero. You would still gain a lot of money being a pro, as much as being part of the military, but it's a lot more safer though. Being part of the military, sure, you would have that of the biggest paycheck in the world, and you would be set for life if you basically, decided to discharge from there. However, the lifestyle being a part of the ARC military is a short one, especially for anybody who wants to raise up to the rank of commander and gain their own Nikke squad. As the years go on, Nikkes were basically symbols for any guy or any girl that basically wants their own personal harem. Given that females can only become Nikkes after all, and males can't, it was a selling point for that of those in Japan, for those who wanted to join that of the ARC military in Japan. All around the world, on the other hand, some people only join that of the ARC military only because, it's a good high-paying job, and some want to support their family. However, the pro-hero scene in that of Japan was the highest point. Nobody wanted to risk their life. And the worst part is, quirks were basically everything in Japan. They value that of strong and flashy quirks all because of All Might, the number one hero, the born symbol of peace, the born hero that everybody looked up and admired. To them, those with that of flashy, powerful, and basically outstanding hero quirks were basically sought after. And in the military, you're basically forbidden from using your quirk. Just like in that of the police force, where outside of special situations, you can't use your quirk either outside of medical conditions, because the arc is aware that certain quirks can change a person's personality, their diet, or many other things. Then it's basically you're permitted to use your quirk. However, outside of that, if it doesn't cause any medical conditions, and again, you're prohibited from using your quirk ever, which again was basically the one downside for that of recruits in Japan, which basically led to that of the HPSC gaining that of a more permanent foothold and that of the government, and possibly trying to build their own military again. However, again, they're always holding it on hold. But even so, the ARC government still had that of a position in that of the Japanese government than that of the HPSC when it came to issues of national security after all. Not only that, the ARC knew about the HPSC's dirty little secrets that they like to keep under closed doors when it comes to their hero society. But it's not their problem. Their main problem is to keep that of external threats from that of happening in Japan. But even so, recruitment was pretty damn slow. And you would think that none of this would change. However, all that changed as the years go by with one special boy, or one non-special boy, I should say. One boy who was basically so plain, who looked not even that eventful or anything at all, who admired heroes and wanted to be a hero just like everybody else his age, ended up joining the military. Not because he wanted to, but because he had to. This boy was Izuku Midoriya, and at the age of 15, he enlisted into the ARC military. Izuku Midoriya, a green-net boy with that of messy green hair, big green eyes, diamond-shaped freckles on his cheeks, and somewhat of a baby face. Barely lift anything growing up as a kid, but always admired heroes. Wanted to be a hero just like All Might, his idol, the man that inspired him, wanting to protect and save others, just like any other kid growing up in Japan. However, there was only one little problem though. Izuku Midoriya was quirkless. Ever since that diagnosis when he was like that of 4 to 5 years old, his dream of wanting to be a hero has become non-existent. All because of one birth defect, as people like to call it. 80% of the human population now has quirks, while the remaining 20% are quirkless. However, the quirkless mainly range from that of the elderly though, while the new generation continues to grow into that of quirked individuals. Even that of the whole quirk doomsday singularity theory, as quirks grow even stronger and more uncontrollable as time goes on with each generation. However, nobody takes that theory pretty seriously in this day and age, even when it was first brought up about that of 100 years ago. But Izuku, the kid always just wanted to help people, only wanted to save others, protect the innocent, even without a power. And yet, no matter what he did, no matter how much he tried, he was always put down, either by that of his classmates, by his teachers, his former childhood best friend Katsuki Bakugo, who he used to call Kachan, and last but not least, his mother. And not because she did, unlike that of everybody else who did it maliciously or didn't even give a shit about his feelings, his mother, on the other hand, only did it because she was worried. Only did it because she was scared to lose her baby boy, and that she was sorry that she couldn't give him a quirk of her own, give him a chance to become a hero, which is just pretty sad, really. The final nail in the coffin was during that of his first year into that of Aldera High School, a high school that wasn't anything special, to be honest. It was just your everyday natural prep school. The only difference is what stand out about is that it was in the same city on where that of the prestigious UA University was. The university where that of the best pro heroes are basically built and made. It was also one of the universities where All Might went to during his earlier years, after all, before going to that of the West and training to become that of a pro hero himself before coming back to that of Japan, being the hero that he is now. Izuku also wanted to attend that of UA University as well, or UAU for short, as of course he still wants to dream of being a hero. All he ever wanted was just to save one life. One person was just enough for him. And yet, because of his quirkless status, because people basically belittle him and look down on the quirkless, especially 100 times worse in Japan than it is anywhere else in the world, Izuku is constantly belittled, bullied, and beaten almost all the damn time. Especially worse being just starting out in high school and trying to aim to be a hero, because even though they're first years, everybody's already trying to aim to become that of pro heroes, already preparing for that of their college applicant ceremonies and exams, after all. Even Izuku as well, but of course, every time when he tries, that he's always constantly belittled for it. Never being able to at least try. This all came ahead during that of the first month of the school year ending, after all, at Aldera High. All of this changed when his childhood best friend, Katsuki, now turned tormentor and bully, basically gave him the also helpful advice to stop trying, stop even hoping, stop dreaming, and give up on being a hero. And even told him the famous lines as well. Better yet, if he weren't so quirked so much so he can become a hero, take a swan dive off the roof and pray for a quirk in your next life. This was the straw that broke the camel's back for Izuku, after all. To realize that Katsuki literally suicide baited him to basically end his life. All because he saw him as nothing but a pebble. All because he thought that he was in his way of greatness to becoming a pro hero. Just because Bakugo had that of a powerful and somewhat disgusting, overly powered quirk. And because he always was praised, looked up to, and basically told that he'll become a great and strong hero, let it go to his head to make it believe that everybody else trying to aim to be a hero as well, especially somebody like Izuku, was beneath him or trying to rival him. It just made it even worse. And the bullying just got even worse too. However, Izuku doesn't take his words too seriously. Even though if he did, hell, Bakugo's little tour to greatness would possibly get swept, would possibly get that of a roadblock after all, given a suicide death was caused. But yet, they live in Japan. Suicides are always common. And given that this is Bakugo of all people, and Aldera wants him to go to that of UAU after all, they would possibly just sweep his death under the rug, to be honest. And besides, he's quirkless. It's not like anybody gives a damn about him outside of his own mother. He just had to just grit and bear it and continue trying to work forward and work harder to that of his dream of being a hero. All he needs to do is just work tirelessly. He started doing that of a workout routine, after all. A basic workout routine just to grow that of muscles. Nothing serious. It's only when he becomes that of 16 to 17, then he'll probably amp up his training regimen. Then after that, he'll amp it up even more, and possibly he'll be strong enough to handle that of the entrance exam. He just knows it. He just knows that he's able and capable of doing so. However, little did he know, life has a way to basically shoot him in the leg and basically and cut off that leg entirely. Just like that in canon, he would end up getting involved in that of the sledge villain once again. The sledge villain was running away from a certain pro hero that we all know. However, it's that pro hero that ended up saving Izuku with one solitary punch. And that being All Might. As All Might was basically standing around to make sure that Izuku was able to wake up from being unconscious and blacking out, Izuku was still shocked to see that of his idol and that of the person that he admires the most basically standing in front of him, and was also the one that saved him. He couldn't help but be shocked, surprised, and excited seeing this man, seeing the person that he admires the most in the world and inspired him to be a hero, even giving him that of a autograph and that of his notebook. Well, the burnt one that Bakugo basically burned. His hero notes for the future, number 13 after all, so yeah. However, Izuku wanted one more thing before All Might left. And so he ended up grabbing onto him, and soon All Might noticed this. He was about to tell him to basically let go of him, even though he enjoys being around his fans, and he doesn't want to be around them this close. Then Izuku freaking out, telling him that he'll fall if he lets go. With then saying, right. Before then, All Might basically saying that he needs to go and he doesn't have time. Before then, Izuku could ask, he asked if a quirkless person like him could become a hero. If it's possible, as he always dreamt of wanting to be a hero no matter what. Just like him, just like All Might, to him saving people, just like him, is the greatest thing in the world, the coolest thing in the world. And that's all he ever wanted to do, was just to protect and save others. And wants to ask if somebody like him can truly be a hero without. However, before he could finish, All Might already left off the building without even saying anything. As in All Might's mind saying, sorry kid, I don't have time to give your answer. But if I had to say, no. As somebody who was quirkless himself, if his sensei, Nana Shimura, never gave him one for all, the quirk that would allow him to achieve his goal, his dream of being the symbol of peace, the pillar of Japan's society, the protector, then none of this would have happened. And as much as he wants to give the kid hope, it would be false hope, fake hope after all. And even though he would love to give one for all to that kid, he doesn't know him good enough to even think that he would be a good judge of character. He could have just given it to a kid who didn't have the true dedication or drive to be a true hero. And you can't burden somebody like him with that. As soon as All Might says all this inside of his head, he soon basically lands down in a nearby alleyway and begins to cough up that of blood before steam comes off his body, and he deflates into that of a scrawnier, skinnier, and shaggier All Might as Toshinori Yagi. The real name of All Might couldn't help but sigh, saying, sorry kid, I really wish I could have gave you a better answer, but I just can't. Before then, pulling out that of the bottle from that of his sweatpants, seeing that the villain is still intact, saying, now, time to get you to that of the police. However, little did All Might know, all he did was basically leave that of a suicidal and basically on the verge of collapse kid on top of a roof. With now hearing that even from his own idol, the own man that basically told everybody that they could become a hero, that he can't without a quirk. As Izuku basically feels like he's hyperventilating to the point that he could barely hear anything or anyone, even if there even was, on top of the roof. As all the words from everybody else, from that of Bakugo, from their teachers, from his classmates, to that doctor, to his mother, and now All Might ringing into his head, thinking that they were all right. Every last one of them were right. Within, seeing that of his lifeless eyes, as he saw the edge, thinking that he has nothing else to live for, his dream meaningless, pointless, and basically now taken away from him. What else is there for him? As he's about to take that final step, within soon somebody grabbing him saying, oh there kid, what the hell are you doing up here? Within soon, seeing that of a man a man with that of brunette hair and basically in a militaristic uniform, as it's all green. However, he also has that of several weapons, from that of a pistol and a submachine gun on his shoulder. As Izuku could barely see his eyes, as his beret is the thing that's keeping him from seeing them. Within suit, Izuku saying, what are you, sir? Sorry, Within, soon that of a person behind him saying, yo, Commander, I knew you came up here to see that of a kid about to fall? Jesus, I knew that Japan had a huge suicide rate, but to think it was this large, that a kid his age would fall? Man, things are just pretty for a place that's supposed to be the most crime-free place in the world, they're pretty damn stupid to hide this stuff. Within, soon, another woman, with that of a more calm and rational voice, saying, son, please, you're being too rude. This boy must be going through quite a bit of just a bad time after all. Saying, right, yeah, I'm sorry, but still. Within, soon looking back, seeing that of two women, one woman with that of blonde hair and having that of a somewhat visor over her head, as she has quite the bit, as she's wearing that of an all-black uniform with that of a dab of orange too on her. She's also quite busty as well, and she has that of a submachine gun in her hands, while the other being that of another girl, as she's quite slim. However, she looks like she's wearing that of a militaristic power suit and a blue helmet, as it's all blue, even with the helmet. As she also has a visor where you could see that of her green eyes, alongside that of a somewhat futuristic gun on her side. But then saying, you two, calm down. I just gotta talk to this kid for a bit. Then we can get back to the mission. Within, soon, bringing him back to his side as Izuku falls to his knees, still realizing what he was about to do if it wasn't for this man. Within, soon, looking at as the man goes down to that of Izuku's level, bending down, saying, let me guess, kid, you basically just went through a huge, annoying day, a lot of people bullying the hell out of you, and possibly you getting some bad news about some other stuff too. Am I guessing correctly? Within, soon, Izuku's eyes widening in shock, saying, how did you... Lucky guess. It's true that a lot of people from Japan don't apply for that of the military, especially the ARC military. But even so, some of them are all the same as you, kid. Either due to their quirk, their lifestyle, or quirkless, which is again, bigger minority. Within, saying, I'm guessing either weak quirk, bad lifestyle, or within, Izuku saying, I'm quirkless. Saying, thought so. As soon, putting the kid back on his legs, saying, I got some time. We have some time before we had to go to the rendezvous area. Care to explain? Within, saying, I sometimes explaining things to a mere stranger can help you out better than those who you are close with. Don't want to bug them after all, right? Within, soon, Izuku began crying and tearing up again, saying, all I want was just to be a hero. All I want was just to protect and save innocent lives. That's everything I've always wanted in my life. And now that's gone. I have nothing else to live for. That's all that's been keeping me going. Why keep on living if I can't achieve my dream? Within, soon, putting a hand on Izuku's shoulder, is the militaristic man known as the commander, saying, it's simple, kid. Change careers. Within, soon, Izuku saying, huh? And I'm not telling you to be that a police officer or a doctor or a firefighter. That's just being boring. No, you have the heart of a hero, but your current society isn't going to accept you because you're quirkless. I'm aware on how Japan is and how they like to over-glorify that of flashy and powerful quirks. I've been posted here for almost that of 3 years now. But it's those with that of true heart, true devotion, and the true motivation of wanting to protect and save others would be better if you joined the ARC military. Within, saying, the military? But It's dangerous, yeah, a lot dangerous. And of course, you can't use your quirk as well. However, since this country is basically quirk accentuated, of course, the HPSC and even that of other government stooges and companies are going to say that using your quirk, not allowed to use your quirk and all that. However, you don't need to use a quirk to be a hero. All you need to do is have that of confidence in yourself and in your fellow comrades. Those who believe in you, those who have your back, especially if when you reach my ranking of a commander and have your own Nikke squad. But then saying, Nikke squad, as looking back at the girls saying, wait, those aren't Nikkes? I never thought, saying, hey, don't call them they. They have names, even though they prefer to go by their motto numbers. Sorry, girls. But then soon, that of the blonde-haired Nikke, known as Sun, saying, it's all right, Commander, before smiling, as then soon saying, look, I'm telling kid, I can tell you got the determination and heart to achieve your dream of wanting to save and help people. You don't need to be a hero to do that. A hero is a person that values everybody's lives over that of himself. And what I've seen from your current society, they value that of fame, glory, and fortune, and basically being the top of hero society over that of doing the right thing and saving lives. To me, you got the spark, the true determination and hope of being a hero. What then, hearing all that, Izuku saying, you really think so? Saying, yeah. Before then, he ruffles through that of his bag, before then giving this to Izuku. As soon, he shows it as it being that of a flyer, saying, come to that of your local government station ARC building. There you can basically apply for that of the ARC. How old are you? But then Izuku saying, I'm 15 actually. I'll be 16 in that of several months from now. Saying, then you're basically eligible. I forget that Japan allows you to join the military at the age of 15, unlike that of a lot of other countries that do 16 or 17. Even the US still does 18 after all, even to this day. With then saying, all right, kid, I'll get you down. Before then, looking back at his Nikke's, son, 8, let's get this kid out of here. With then saying, all right, Commander, understood, Commander. As then, Sun basically grabs that of her commander and jumps up into the air. With then, soon, even 8 grabs that of Izuku. However, instead of carrying him by that of his collar, like by his, bag, or by that of his, back of the uniform, she basically bridal carries Izuku with saying, wait, what? What are you? As she also jumps up into the air and lands into that of the alleyway safely. As Izuku was freaked out saying, whoa, so that's the kind of power that a Nikke has. As landing Izuku back on his feet as she's shaking a little bit. But then she's saying, apologies, sir. I did not, if I scared you or if my landing was that of too rough, then allow me to apologize for my actions. What then, Sue? Izuku saying, no, it's okay. What then? The commander saying, all right, kid, you better get home. And like I said, if you ever feel like wanting to do some real good in the world, as he points at the flyer and that of the address and street saying, head to that place. Best to go during that of your weekends and off school, though. Also, if I recall, you got midterms in that of a couple weeks or so. So best to be prepared for that, too. Within hearing this, Izuku looks back at the flyer as he gets a better look at it. But then it shows that of several commanders, and behind them being that of Nikkes, all saluting, with the Nikkes having weapons in their hands. As the forum says, if you want to be a guardian and protect the innocent, enlist here. As Izuku looks at that of the flyer, he could feel that something just basically is awakened within him. Something that he hasn't felt in such a long time. But then, since that day he saw All Might's debut video, having that of a determined look, a couple days later, he arrives at that of the building on where he would enlist. Seeing that the building is actually a lot more futuristic and a lot more developed than that of any other building around that of Japan. Heck, even that of certain hero agencies couldn't compare to that of the technological advancement that this building has. It also doesn't help that there are basically two Nikkes standing at the guard at the door, as they're just standing in place, just waiting for something to happen or something bad to happen. With Izuku feeling quite nervous, heck, he didn't even tell his mom that he was coming here to try to enlist. With then, as he enters in that of the doors, with it basically sliding as it being an automatic door, as soon as he enters, he couldn't help but see all of the screens showing that of commanders and Nikkes working together, with even that of a stairway that basically goes up to that of several floors, besides just elevators too. And then however, what stands out the most is the brand of technology advancement here as well. The only problem is, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people here though. Like besides that of the staff and that of several, and it looks like at least that of a few commanders here and there, like and possibly even that of higher ranking officers. Other than that, not so much. He was aware that Japan is the only country, one of the main countries that are against that of building up a military again, as they only want to rely on pro-heroes. But even there are threats outside of Japan that could cause that of problems for the country. All Might may be the symbol of peace, but there's a rule. But again, heroes can't interfere in that of international events outside of permission from other governments as well. So again, it's kind of surprising. But again, they're in a quirk-based society, so of course, a lot of people are basically turned off from the idea of being part of the military if they can't use their quirks in the situation. As Izuku walks over to that of the desk, within, seeing that of a woman with that of bob-cut black hair and in that of a secretary uniform, saying, "How can I help you, young man?" Saying, I would like to enlist, if it's possible. Saying, "I see. Well then, can I ask, how old are you?" Saying, I'm 15. Saying, "I see. Have you started high school?" "Just ended our first month, so yes." Saying, "That's good. What reason have you decided to become a soldier and enlist?" Within, Izuku was about to say before saying, "If it's your reasoning to become part of the military due to you wanting that of a harem of Nikkes, I will tell you this. Please leave now." Within, Izuku saying, "Huh?" Saying, "I said, please leave now." Being a soldier and being part of the ARC military, especially when you reach the rank of commander or major or colonel, general, and even admiral as well, a well-respected job with a lot of lives of Nikkes. Nikkes are just as much as humans as they used to be, just because their body is more mechanical. I would prefer it if my fellow woman wouldn't be used as such a plaything or seen as one. Within, Izuku basically stuttering a bit, saying, No, it's nothing like that. I wanted to enlist because Within, saying, all I wanted to do was just help and save people's lives. I wanted to be a hero, but it seems like that's out of the way, so you decided to join the military because you can't become a hero. Is that it? Saying, as Izuku couldn't help but nod his head. Before then, she could help but sigh, saying, you did have that aura around you, boy. Within, Izuku saying, huh? We get children like you from time to time. Small, but still. People whose either their quirks are too weak, too villainous, or too out of control, that they can't become, that people have basically told them that they can't become heroes. The quirkless, on the other hand, you're a small minority, mainly because it's hard to get to you all in the nick of time before you take drastic matters after all. Within, Izuku looking down, saying, I see. Within, typing on that of her computer, before then showing that of multiple forms begin to print out, saying, if you're serious about joining the military, You will have to go through that of rigorous training for the next year or two or so. It depends on how skilled and how determined and how devoted you are to it. You're always free to basically discharge yourself anytime that you wish or resign from that of the military. We're not going to keep you there after all. However, once you resign from the military, you will have to take that of an NDA to make sure that you never disclose anything that you have seen as a soldier of the ARC. Do I make myself clear, young man? Saying, yes, ma'am. Good. Now, fill this paper out. You could do this here, or you can do it all back home after all. We're not going to keep you here. It's up to you. Saying, do you have a pen? Saying, yes. As she offers that of a pen to Izuku, as he soon heads to that of where he sees that of several couches and decides to write everything down, from that of his information to that of his family being his mother and father, to that of the school where he was applying to, where he was going to before now dropping out to become part of the military. Which the reason being is because they can besides adding that of his training, he could everything that he would learn from that of high school would basically cram coursed into that of him during his military training. So he'll basically have to go through a lot more schooling while adding that of his already added military training and skills too. After this, he was soon about to turn it in. However, he was about to call his mother about him enlisting into the military. As he was about to contact her, he soon realized that she would most likely try to, convince him to not enlist. Not more than anything. As much as he loves his mother, she's always been smothering and basically way too overprotective ever since he was diagnosed quirkless, almost to the point that it's suffocating Izuku. He loves his mother. He loves her deeply, but it can be quite overwhelming. Then there's his father. As much as Hisashi Midoriya has basically provided and taken care of his family overseas, he hasn't been there in his life, barely at all. Only that of a few times where he comes to visit. But then after that, it's always back to work overseas. Sometimes he's in America, sometimes he's in that of the UK, in that of the United Kingdom, and then there are times when he's even in China or South Korea. The man doesn't stay in one place. And right now, possibly, this is his decision. His choice. He's grown enough to basically make his own decisions. And because of that, he decides to make it for once in his life without anybody telling him otherwise. As Izuku basically turns in his paper saying, "So thank you. We'll let you know when the time for you to be taking that to your training camp and everything else is prepared. It will let you know in that of a week or two. So please prepare yourself, young man." Saying, Izuku Midoriya, saying, prepare yourself, young Midoriya, because what you signed up for is going to put you through your paces, no matter what. But then, Izuku can help but nod. After that, he soon basically told his mother, and let's just say she was little than happy or thrilled at all. Inko Midoriya was absolutely livid that her son decided to enroll in the military without telling her first. And it's because of that, her very reaction right now is why he didn't join, why he didn't tell her. She would basically try everything in her way to basically stop him from doing so. And to Inko's, words, it's exactly that. She doesn't want to lose her baby. He's quirkless, so he doesn't have within him basically snapping back, saying that it's exactly because he's quirkless. At least in the military, everybody is equal. Everybody has to work hard and train hard to reach the rank that they are, that he's able to achieve his dream of wanting to help people, even if it seems impossible, even if it seems dangerous, and even if he basically goes through that of situations that are life-threatening. He doesn't want to feel like he didn't give it his all, or didn't even try to give it his all. And that's exactly the reason why he wants to become part of the military. The reason why he just wants to help and save as many people as he can. Hero Society won't allow him, so why not the military? And because of this, Inko was stunned and shocked. As part of her basically wants to march down to that of the Arc branch and that of Masafu and basically rescind anything that Izuku did, but seeing the determination, seeing the motivation, the drive in her son's eyes, she doesn't want to. As ever since growing up, it's almost like that drive was based to become a hero was half in with everything that's gone through in his life. She was aware of all of the bullying and discrimination and crap that Izuku was going through. She tries everything she can to basically cheer him up. Even went to the schools from that of his junior high school and elementary school to tell the kids to stop it, or at least them to calm down. But nobody did. Nobody would take the words of a woman like Inko Midoriya just for their son. But right now, Inko sees that of her own baby boy, the same boy that she wanted to make that of the world a better or safer place for him. And yet, he decides to make his own decision. Even if it puts him in danger, all she ever wanted was just for him to at least be happy. And if this would make him happy, even putting him in danger, she has to let it be. However, with only one stipulation, to never do anything too crazy. With Izuku promising, however, little did he know, that promise would basically mean jack shit in everything that he goes through. Several weeks later, Izuku basically drops out of high school. He gets everything packed up for his training outside of Japan and had to be ready to be picked up on that of a bus leading to that of that, like I said before, his training will basically be outside of Japan's jurisdiction. However, you would be surprised on where the training is going to take place, and that being the Ark in the mantle of the Earth's crust. The first time that Izuku basically saw this, as there are basically multiple elevators heading straight up to that of the Earth, from that of multiple nations down to that of the Ark. The main prevalent ones is from that of the United States, one from that of the United Kingdom, one from that of Egypt, one from Korea, one from China, and one from Moscow, and also the latest one from Japan. They're also working on that of elevators from that of Brazil and Egypt as well. Even one from that of Germany too. So it just takes time after all. But even so, when the first time he saw the Ark, that massive dome city now turned into basically one of the largest small nations in the entire world. Underneath that of the Earth itself, his mind couldn't help but be completely and utterly blown. That this is where he's going to be training, where he'll be working diligently to reach his dream of becoming a hero. But not in the way that he originally wanted, but a person who just wanted to save lives, which is not a hero, but just a good person. Arriving at the Ark, they're basically branched off to that of several cities. The first city being that of the central city, where most of the government bureaus where Izuku mainly do his training and a lot of important people all across the world normally go. Then there's that of the, entertainment city, basically where tourists that end up getting into the Ark mainly go. And then there's the outer cities, mainly where a lot of, dropouts from that of the military or that of savory individuals go. They make sure to keep that of several Nikkes that can basically keep them in check after all. But we'll get to them later on. But for Izuku, it's time. Time for him to be able to achieve his dream. Journey of how this young boy went from that of a quirkless nobody to a nameless soldier to an iconic commander, and sooner or later, the hero of the Ark and the guardian of the Nikkes. And that's it. thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I would love to read them. So, how did you guys like this part? This was more of an introductory chapter and building up to that of the world building of this story after all. Sorry if it's a lot of explanations and not a lot of story and not a lot of character interactions with everybody after all. That's my bad. Like I said, I wanted to rush through this as soon as possible, and I did say that it might feel a little rushed. Next chapter may come out in a couple weeks or a couple days from now. Can't say for sure. Just give me some time. As for Izuku's training and all the missions that he's gone on, just let you guys know that I'll be mainly covering them in that of flashback backstories after all. As much as I would love to go into detail about some of them, I haven't really gone as far in, well, Nikke as much as I thought I have. So then again, it's going to take some time. But with all that said, I'm still looking forward to this story, to be fair. So just give me some time to wait it out. Alright, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, keep to date my videos on the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, gaming channel, main channel, other channel, Patreon, and Cash App. All linked in the description below. So, with all that said, this is Izuku signing out. Later guys, hope you all take care.